Okay, hello everyone. Welcome back to our life. I know this video is going to probably come out very late. Couple warnings. I'm also playing, oh god, I'm playing this with my son in the background and no backup. So if he has a meltdown, that's probably that. So I feel like this video is going to be a little shorter. I don't know. I want to do this one. We're going to do the ghost story. I think we won't do all of these because obviously this would just go on forever. I mean, it could just go on forever. There's nothing wrong with this going on forever. Basically, it's just stories. But yeah, we'll go ahead and do ghost. The night was incredibly still. There's also a bunch of little dust mites. Ghosts! They're ghosts! Okay, anyways, the night was incredibly still. You really couldn't ignore how silent it was. It was almost eerie. You could even hear Lizzie snoring in the next room over. Excuse me. It was hard to believe how much of a blur today was. Summer sure did slip right past you. You flicked through the moments like pages in a scrapbook as you laid in bed. The ones that stuck out all seemed to include your new neighbor, Cove. It was funny how he had become such a big part of your life in such a short span of time. You thought a lot about what adventures you could have tomorrow until sleep started to catch up to you. Then, you heard something scrape against the window. Excuse me. It wasn't that uncommon for the wind to push a tree branch against the glass. Summer breezes were the worst sometimes. But the more you tried to ignore it, the louder it seemed like it became. It was like something was trying to get your attention. You lifted your head off the pillow to get a better look. Nothing was there. Nothing you could see, at least. You go back to bed, roll credits. You had to investigate the mystery sound. Of course, that would have been me. You practically jumped out of bed and crept down the stairs to go outside. Your moms were still awake. They stayed up so late, it seemed. Luckily, they were watching TV and didn't hear the soft click of the front door opening as you slipped past. Fabulous. A small child sneaking out in the middle of the night. 10 out of 10. You looked around the neighborhood. We live in a massive house, by the way. Look at this thing. This is ginormous. My god. Just processed this big old house. Unless this is an apartment or something. I don't know. I don't think so. Anyways, you looked around the neighborhood for a few seconds, checking over each individual house. It looked normal, but it didn't feel that way. You knew you weren't supposed to be out here right now. It was exhilarating. It scared you. It was exhilarating. Your chest was light, and you couldn't keep the grin from your face. No one had permitted you to go out. In fact, no one even knew you were out, and yet here you were. You wondered what else you could do. What other rules were so ingrained that you had never even considered that they could be broken? Sakura. You twitched at the sudden call, immediately calming down upon seeing Cove walking up to you. It was strange, and yet also completely normal to have him appear like this right now. Oh my god, this is so cute. I don't know why I just got really emotional all of a sudden. Just imagining that these two are growing up together. They're having these cute memories. I live for romance stories. What are you doing? I saw you standing around in the middle of the street from my window. You weren't sleeping either? Why not? Cove turned up his lips to smile, almost as if he were amused by the question. Because? You should be in bed. I'm glad you're here. That would be really cute. Did you hear a weird noise? You could tell you hit the nail on the head by the way his eyes widened. Yeah, you knew? I heard it too. That's why you came out, huh? Cove hesitated for a moment, looking down the street before his aquamarine eyes fell on you again. Did it scare you? A little. Me too. I feel better that you're here. Me too. The two of you delicately smiled at that. Cove even chuckled a bit. It was nice that you both felt the same way about things. I don't know why, but that's such a, it's nice that you both felt the same way about things. I was kind of wondering if it was the wind, but what if it's not? What if it's a person? What if it's something that's not a person? The unsettling noise suddenly rushed through the air. Cove and you flinched. It sounds even worse than before. You were about to agree with him when the noise came yet again, tearing through the still night. The two of you rapidly looked around, trying to find the source, but to no avail. There was no sign of an answer to this puzzle. You thought that it had to be a ghost. It has to be a ghost. I believe. Okay, I'm a believer in the supernatural. I'm a weird believer in the supernatural, right? I'm like a weird, skeptical believer. If somebody else were to be like, oh my gosh, those are ghost orbs, I'd be like, that's probably dust. But like, I've also had things happen to me, so I 100% believe in the supernatural. But at the same time, I'm like a skeptic. It's a really weird place to be. Invisible, creepy thing luring children from their beds, it had to be a monster. You were torn between the curiosity of discovering what the noise really was and being scared enough to want to run straight home and hide under the bed covers. When you and Cove locked eyes, it was like speaking without words. Your mutual anxiety hadn't gone away entirely. Hey, can you tell where it's coming from? Not really. Then we'll have to look some more, somewhere else. Maybe we'll see something. Okay, let's go. You clustered together as you walked the familiar streets of your neighborhood in the middle of the night without our parents being even slightly aware, drawing strength from each other's presence. Shadows cut corners and angles where you didn't expect them, distorting the features you saw every day. The noise came again, shrill and hard. It set your teeth on edge the way it ground its way through you. Cove's throat bobbed. His eyes glistened in the dim light. I'm going to offer him my hand. You really wanted to be there for him and wanted to show that. Your hand was left up for him to take. Cove's mouth opened wordlessly. There was a pause, but ultimately, he accepted the offer. His hand was really sweaty, but it didn't bother you. You were scared too, but being able to comfort Cove was the most important thing right now. 'Cause I'm cool like that. Cove shut his eyes and pressed his lips together. Your fingers locked around each other even tighter. Where did you want to check? Let's see. Let's check the park. The private playground was empty as ever, yet the mysterious sound could still be heard, hanging heavy and ominous in the air. You ran away. You kept going forward. You couldn't stop when you had already gone so far. You had to find out what was going on. Cove was practically shaking when he realized it had progressed far enough to reach here. He swallowed hard, but faced you with a determined face. My dad says, good detective work starts at home. He watches a lot of crime shows, so maybe it could be good to look closely. Okay. Cove's dad is me. The two of you swept through every corridor of the park. No monkey bar, swing, or tire went unchecked. He was squatting on the ground, squinting at something in his hand. Intrigued, you checked over his shoulder so you could see too. Cove held it in his open palm. Coiled inside was a length of sparkly chain, grains of sand embedded in the fine links. Lifting it up, it became apparent how this had come here. You'd seen bracelets and necklaces enough to recognize that the clasp which held it together had snapped. It's broken. It's silver. Werewolves hate silver. Other things too, I think. If this noise is caused by a monster, we can protect ourselves with it. Yeah. He flicked the chain as if cracking a tiny whip. I wonder if there's anything else we could use out here. Cove considered this, frowning. I should have grabbed some garlic before I left. His frown evolved into a scowl. It probably wouldn't have worked. Dad doesn't have real garlic. He gets fake garlic? It's little flakes in a jar, not real balls you have to cut up like Mom uses. It's still real garlic, just we won't need it. Flakes might be easier to use. We could sprinkle them on the ground as we walked, I guess. From his begrudging tone, you could tell that he was still firmly on the side of fresh garlic. Even though you had exhausted all the possible places to search in the park, the sound still rang through the air, mocking you. Should we look somewhere else? Let's check the beach. The beach stretched out in front of you, nothing in sight along its sands no matter which way you turned. Part of you had imagined the noise as some creature of the deep washed up on the shore and calling for aid. That theory had to be taken off the list for now. Still, you'd spent enough time on the shore to know that the real finds often required a sharp eye and careful attention. The sound was no more than a whimper now. Emboldened, you kept your head high and walked along the sand. Let's see if there's anything here. Cove began to comb the beach for clues. You followed suit. The angry wind sent grains of sand rolling across the beach like waves. You stayed clear of the water, which was rough and choppy tonight, and scoured the area for hints as to what might be happening. You saw something glint in the sand, full of promise, but when you eagerly uncovered it, you thought it was just foil from a chip packet. You stowed it away with a sigh. Did you find something? Yeah, garbage. Cove shrugged and gave you a sympathetic smile. That's how it goes sometimes. You like hunting for treasures on the beach too, right? Yeah. Have you ever found anything mysterious or weird? You were expecting him to mull the question over for a bit, but Cove answered immediately. Teeth. Ooh. Like a shark's tooth? You'd seen those for sale in shops. What's up, baby? Hi. Though you'd never been lucky enough to stumble across one at the beach. No, not that. People teeth. No! Yeah. You know how grown-ups sometimes don't have their own teeth any longer? And they get fake ones so they can still eat? You nodded, listening in fascinated horror. I found some. The top half. How'd you know it was the top half? It had the pink top of the mouth bit, like this. He opened wide and pointed at the top of the roof of his mouth. You let out a squeal. What did you do with them? Mom took them from me. I don't know what happened to it after that. That was... Think of the prank opportunities. Gross. Way stranger than the stuff I've seen. The weirdest thing I remember was a keyring with Lizzie's name on it, but it wasn't actually hers. The coincidence was made much less special by the fact that it actually said Liz, a moniker your sister had never taken. Neat. Cove was still tickled by your discovery, even if you thought it wasn't as exciting as his. As you contemplated your options, it occurred to you that you hadn't heard the noise for a while. Cove, I think it's gone. Cove perked up at this. You watched as he listened for the scary sound that had become background noise to your adventure. You're right. You both stood awkwardly in the now silent night. Without the mysterious call to lead you, there wasn't any reason to stay out here any longer. The night was still as you walked home. With none of the usual background noises or the eerie whistle from before, you could hear every step you and Cove made like a cough in a movie theater. The two of you came to a halt outside your front door. Never before had it looked so ominous. Looks like they haven't called the cops, so I'm probably alright. Do you sneak out a lot? Lots, you were lying. Lots, you were telling the truth. Not really. Thought so. How did you know? I haven't seen you out of my window this late before. That was fair. Though it could have been possible you were just so good at sneaking that this was the first time he had caught you. Are you worried about getting caught? No. He was so forthright that you believed him completely. But your dad, won't he get mad or sad if he catches you? He's never happy with what I do. Oh. You encouraged Cove to see it more positively. Your dad's just worried about you. He cares. It doesn't matter if he worries or if he's the one who makes things worse. Huh? Did I read that right? It doesn't matter if he worries, if he... Oh, I see. I put the emphasis wrong. It doesn't matter if he worries if he's the one who makes things worse. Alright, I'm going in. Okay, good night. Good night, Cove. Thanks for coming with me tonight. I'm not sure I could have done it by myself. I wanted to go with you. You beamed at him. You turned the doorknob as slowly as a clock's minute hand, holding your breath for the telltale click of the lock, then nudged it open. When all that happened was the door opening, rather than the blaring alarms that you'd feared, you melted with relief. Back inside your house, you were surprised to find your mom still watching TV. Weirder still, it looked like they were on the same show as they were watching before you left, yet you were positive you'd been out investigating for hours. Perhaps you could use their distraction to your advantage. If you could just get up the stairs, you would be safe from suspicion. But how would you get there? You decided to walk in your own house nonchalantly. You had to give up a complete... I would try to walk in nonchalantly. Sometimes the best thing you could do was hide in plain sight. You strode across the room in the direction of the staircase. Sakura? Your moms knew you were up, but they had no idea why. They abandoned the couch and their show to hurry over. They were still in a state of surprise. You weren't in trouble yet. What are you doing down here, sweetie? Did you have a bad dream? I didn't. I lied. I told the truth. I feel bad lying. Lying is terrible. Don't lie, kids. You couldn't bring yourself to own up to what you'd done. I heard scary noises, so I came down here. Their surprise gave way to concern. Honey, Mom took you by the hand and led you up the stairs. Woof, your hand is cold. Why didn't you come over to us? I was supposed to be in bed. Sakura, you won't ever be in trouble for coming to us when you're frightened. We'd much rather you came to us than tried to solve things all by yourself. Oops. Her phrasing made you feel bad. The nervousness ate at you as you were tucked into bed. Your moms assumed that your flushing and insistence on delving under the covers was part of your fear, and spoke to you softly until you calmed down enough to peep out from underneath your sheets. Once your moms had left, you turned over the night's adventure in your mind. It was still hard to believe that you'd really done it. It was harder still to believe that you'd gotten away with it. Even now, you half expected to be caught somehow. Perhaps you'd left the door ajar, or trailed sand where they'd already swept up. You hoped that Cove had gotten home okay. Though he hadn't been worried, being told off was never fun. Wriggling down deeper underneath the sheets, your thoughts turned to the unsolved mystery. You and Cove had only just begun to scratch the surface of it. Maybe you'd solve it and maybe you wouldn't, but what mattered was that you'd shared the experience with each other. You were still so energized by the night's excitement that you tossed and turned in bed for some time, thinking up theories to share with Cove when you next saw him. Sleep eventually claimed you, but the adventure merely resumed in your dreams. The next morning proceeded mostly like usual, though your mom seemed to be giving extra consideration since finding you last night. You later learned Cove didn't end up in trouble for the nightly escapade either. It was unclear whether that was because his dad chose not to punish him or if Cove got away with it. It was amazing to you that it all worked out for you both. As for the sounds that started this all, the adults around were convinced it was nothing more than the wind. For your imaginative mind, that wasn't nearly enough. How could they accept something— sorry, my son is going, mama, mama, mama. How could they accept something so simple, so easily? Maybe it'd make more sense when you were grown up too. And there we go. We did it. Yay. Alright, cool. That's that episode. I'm happy that we got through the whole episode today. I think I would like to maybe do the other DLC ones. I think that's a good idea. Grown Up sounds like it might be really cute too, and so does Fireflies. Fireflies sounds really cute. Sleepovers, they all sound cute. What am I saying? Anyways, thank you so much as always, everyone, for watching. I genuinely appreciate your support and you guys playing my videos, even if they're in the background. Like, I really appreciate all of you, like, so much. So thank you again. I hope you all are safe and having a wonderful day, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.